Hi, it's Michael Spurs here. I'm with the wonderful Liz De Mazi, and she was one of my clients who came to me with wrist pain, and she had a 1-year-old son at the time, having trouble picking him up, and she also was saying that she couldn't exercise. She was having trouble exercise because of the wrist pain, and she got a great result in the first session we did, which I'm not going to say that happens all the time, but some people just things like that do happen. So I'd like to introduce you now to Liz. Hello, Liz. Thanks for coming on.
Hi.
So can you tell us a little bit about this wrist pain? It was carpal tunnel, I think you said. Was it carpal tunnel?
So that's how it started, and it's pretty common during pregnancy, specifically, I think, in the third trimester.
Right.
So like halfway through the third trimester, I was sleeping with braces on my wrists, on both of them. And then it's supposed to quickly resolve after you give birth. But I came to you, and Leo was almost 2. He was like over a year and a half.
Yeah.
So clearly it wasn't getting better.
Yeah.
And I think it was actually getting worse. And I felt like it was going all the way, not just in my wrist, but all the way up my arm. So
Right.
beyond just the normal carpal tunnel during pregnancy.
Right. And your right wrist?
Yes.
And obviously he's 1.5, and he was getting heavier, because babies
Yeah.
tend to get heavier, make it even more struggle and painful, I guess, to lift the child. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what really touched my heart when I helped you, was because I know what it must be like trying to manage a 1-year-old son and knowing how active they are, and you're having to pick them up all the time, and how much in the way it would have been for you. So
Yes. And you have to do everything one-handed as a mother, because you're
yeah,
holding one child and then cooking with one hand.
yeah, exactly. So just let us know quickly, did you try any other sort of therapies, or like chiropractors or physios or medications or anything for the pain, or what did you try?
I did. So I did chiropractic, I did dry needling, I did different exercises with a physical therapist, I did ice, I did heat. And certain things would help for a little while, but within a couple days it would just come right back.
Yeah, right. So can you tell us, how else was it affecting your life? Like, you couldn't pick up Leo, well, you could pick him up, it was painful, and the exercising, you said you wanted to exercise and you couldn't use that wrist, it was too painful. Was there anything else that was holding you back from?
Um,
What are some of the little things that you couldn't do because of the pain?
I mean, just like using my phone was painful, using scissors, sometimes cutting things or opening a jar, or I mean, use your hands for everything.
Yeah, for everything. Yeah,
So it got in the way quite often.
right. What about handwriting? Are you right-handed? Do you write with that hand?
I am, but I never have to write anything really.
Well, that's what's happening these days, isn't it? Everything's
Yeah.
good. I love that, because my handwriting's not good, and I love I can just type it out. It makes it so much easier. So just tell us quickly, I know from talking to you that it caused you a lot of frustration having this issue. So can you tell us a little bit about how it made you feel emotionally, this issue, like what you were going through emotionally?
I mean, it was really frustrating because everyone's like, oh yeah, after you give birth, just gonna go away. And then, he's 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, and that's just not happening. And at the time, a lot of the work I was doing was on my phone. So every time I was doing that, it was just a constant reminder of just like being in pain. And then it would go up my elbow and on my shoulder. So whether I was holding him or just trying to do anything, it was really, I just wanted it gone.
Yeah. Well, I remember the first time I met you, the first time I got on a call to do the first session, you looked totally defeated and frustrated and exhausted.
Yeah.
And by the time we got to the third session, you were like a different person. Like, you could just see there was like a shine to you. Like, it was just a totally different person. That was amazing to see. And so let's talk quickly after the session. So we did the session back in this first session we did was back in actually October 2020, the 5th of October 2020. And during that first session, you basically got a great result after that first session for the wrist pain.
Right.
So have you had any flare-ups since, or any pain since? And what do you do now when you do get that pain, if you do get any?
So I'll occasionally have a little bit of pain coming back, but it's nowhere near what it was. And then I'll have to kind of have it throughout the day. And I'm like, fine, I'll tap. And then I'll go through, the tapping that we did together. Yeah. But I've noticed that sometimes if I eat really salty foods, that can be a little bit of a trigger, I think, maybe like inflammation wise.
Right.
But I don't even think once a week that it would happen.
Right. Okay.
So yeah, it's
So
wonderful.
that was back in the start of October, and we're recording this the start of March, like around the 9th of March it is now, 9th or 10th of March. So that's like 5 months
Right.
compared to how long you had it for, about a year and a half. So
And
that's
even longer because I was pregnant too.
yeah,
So probably
right,
almost 2
pregnancy,
years.
it's
Yeah.
nearly 2 years. Yeah, that's amazing. Okay, so and when it flares up now, by comparison, how big is that flare up compared to how much the pain used to be? You know what I mean? Like a flare up now compared to how it used to be.
A tenth maybe, and it's
Yeah,
different, the pain now. It's
right.
not even in the same location. And it's not even a pain. I would say more it's like a soreness.
Right.
Whereas before it was a proper pain.
Is it still running all up? You said it was running all up your arm and that. Is it still doing that? Is it more localized or?
No, it's more localized. Like it's almost never in the wrist, which was like the major part of it. Now it can be a little bit in the forearm or a little bit in the elbow. But it's completely different than what it was.
All right, excellent. Now, did you get something to pick up to show everyone what you can pick up now? Because Leo's in bed, right? Leo's in bed, so we couldn't get Leo on the call.
Yeah, but I got a 25-pound weight.
Well, there you go. this is exercise for today.
Yeah.
This would have been. Would you have been able to do this before at all?
I could probably struggle through it, but it's not any like harder. Sorry, it's an awkward angle.
Yeah.
It's not any harder like on the right side than the left side.
Right. Okay.
So, and my son's about 28 pounds, so
right.
that's pretty good.
You can lift that, and basically there won't be any pain later on or anything. It's just
no.
the first. Yeah. Right.
My son is big into crawling like a cat and making me do that.
Yeah.
So I do this motion a lot, and previously, like doing push-ups or anything, I would be really sore, and that would cause me for like a day or two to have a bigger flare-up.
Yeah.
And I'm fine to crawl like a cat. So clearly, what you do works.
What about the smaller movements like scissors? Because that's very fine sort of motor skill.
Yes, I brought that too. So
you're
fine.
Yeah, that was painful before, because I remember we did that during a session to see how it was, and yeah, you were struggling to do that. I remember that.
Yeah.
That's that's great. Now, can you tell me a little bit about emotionally, because we did that first session and we got through the pain, and basically you came to me with the second session, said the wrist is pretty good, so can we work on something else?
Right.
And having the 1-year-old is basically a bit overwhelming, and there's so much to do. So we did a bit around stress and a bit of overwhelm you're going through. So can you tell us a little bit about, not too much, I'm not going to go too much into that, but just tell me how you felt after those session 2 and 3, after we went through that overwhelm thing, emotionally wise.
So I definitely felt a lot of relief during the sessions and after the sessions. But I am still a busy mom, so I'm still overwhelmed. And I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. But perspective-wise, I think I'm giving myself more grace, and that's something that we really worked on, specifically what I feel like I should be able to do versus what I'm doing and giving myself credit for. So I think that has definitely helped, and I certainly still have my days where it's freaking hard.
We all do. But the way you're responding to it, rather than reacting, you're more likely responding to it in a better, more resourceful way than you might have been before.
Some of the time, yes.
Some of the time. Well, we all have our days. That's natural. So, and like I said, between that first session when I saw you, compared to even after the third session, we did a catch-up call after the third session, you're like a totally different person. Even now, I can see how much happier and freer you look compared to when I first met you. So, yeah, it's amazing to see how much of a difference it's made. So now going back to the pain, how much has your life changed now as a result? Like, what can you do now? What's freed up for you? What's different for you now? The pain, you got no wrist pain. What are you able to do now?
Well, it's kind of funny, right? Because when you're in pain, like all you think about is the pain. And then when it's not there, like you forget and you're just like, oh, I can do everything again. And you don't even think about it. But if I actually thought about it, I don't consciously think, oh, which arm am I going to pick Leo up with? Because I was doing that all the time.
Now you're not even thinking about it. You're just picking him up without even thinking about it. Yeah.
Or I'll, you know, like previously, like having to cut something like a potato or something, I have to ask my husband to help me with. And, you know, now I never have to do that. It's just kind of going back to normalcy, whereas everything was, I just had to think about more. And then I, I, I don't have a better answer. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, that's you know, that's what usually happens, is because people don't realize how much of a mind share it takes for them, is how much pain takes up their mind, like how much mind resources. And once you, because that happened with my ear condition as well, like all of a sudden I realized, hey, I'm going around sound, and I didn't even realize until afterwards that I was doing it. So, and that's probably what you experienced there with like peeling a potato, picking up Leo. You're going, hang on, I picked up my son. And actually, there might be a picture around this, the listeners might see it, where you've actually got, I've got a picture of Liz and she's holding her son, and she didn't realize that when she sent me the photo, she was actually holding him with her right arm. I pointed that out to her, and she didn't realize she's actually holding him in her, cradling him in her right arm. So yeah, that was incredible to see as well. So, and even just watching you pick up those weights, because that looked pretty heavy to me. I don't even think I can pick that up. So you're doing awesome, man. All right. Well, Liz, thanks so much for coming on and sharing your experience. You got a great result, and because you committed to the process, you stuck to the process. You did the tapping in between sessions. You got a great result, and you got a lot of your life back. So well done to you. And just
Well, thank you.
Thanks so much for coming on and sharing.